Hey, guys.
Hey, everybody. Frank and Dan here. We just wanted to say thanks for watching. Please feel free to hit that subscribe button and share things with people if you like what you see.
And leave comments.
Yeah. We're doing the pointy at all the things.
That's what you do on YouTube.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the show.
Everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from gorgeous springtime in Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up today, we are going to be talking about, in the second half of the show, we're going to be talking about the tragedy, the mosque shooting in New Zealand.
Yes.
And we have, sort of the TGIA angle on it. And so we're going to be talking about that.
Yeah, don't worry. That angle is not in favor of the shooting. So
decidedly not. But yeah, we'll be getting to that. In the meantime,
yeah, we have some stuff to talk about.
Dan,
What?
did you know that there are people in this country who consider yoga to be a deplorable, vile, religious activity?
It is anti-Christian. It is Satanism.
Tantamount to.
You literally twist yourself into satanic poses,
Knots.
until you are literally
So limber and have such good balance.
right. What do you guys think downward facing dog is? You are worshiping Satan.
That's exactly true, Dan. If you'll recall, we have talked about this a little bit before in the past. There was the case 3-ish years ago about the school in the Atlanta area. Do you remember this?
Sure.
Where the assistant principal, Bonnie Cole, started, along with some teachers, doing yoga with the elementary school students as a calming technique.
Yeah. Literally anything to get those little bastards to stop screaming is a good thing.
I would think so as well.
So
However,
a little mindfulness can't hurt.
I think in any situation, a little mindfulness could probably do a lot of good.
Sure.
Nonetheless, the school district, they didn't fire Bonnie Cole. They moved her to a different school, right? Because parents at the school that she worked at were so upset about religion being taught in their schools. The wrong
correction. It wasn't about religion being taught in schools. They're all for that.
The
wrong religion. They're teaching our kids the heathen shit.
Yeah. Now, yoga has very strong ties to India.
To Hinduism.
And Hinduism.
It has roots in Hinduism, but even in India, it's not considered a religious practice. By many.
It's considered a stretching and bending and balancing activity.
It's exercise.
Beneficial to the practicing person.
Sure.
But these parents, oh boy, they were listening to people like Albert Mohler, president of the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary. He's on record saying things along the lines of, if it calms the mind, which is what the teachers wanted. They just wanted this mindfulness thing.
Yeah, please calm the mind.
If it calms the mind, then it has a spiritual effect. If it's spiritual, then it is religious.
Okay. Keep going.
No, that's his whole point.
No, take it all the way.
And if it's
religious, it doesn't belong in the schools. Bing. Done.
Yeah. No. Again, wrong religion.
Right.
So I did not know about this. The case.
Was there a lawsuit filed?
There was a lawsuit.
Oh, good.
Miss Bonnie Cole.
Yeah.
She's suing the school district.
Oh, yeah.
Because, and according to her lawyers, the act, the decision itself, was advancing the cause of Christianity.
Yeah.
It was a response to the parents' religious objection because of their Christian objections,
Right.
to yoga in the schools.
Sure.
Now, I mean, what other Christian stuff is going on in these schools?
Well, if it's in Georgia, a lot.
It's very likely. Very likely. No, I mean, it's an interesting case, right? That they're saying that because the motivations were religious, therefore the school district should not have moved the teacher from the school for engaging in an activity that had no religious overtones. But parents were showing up at the school. They were laying their hands on Cole's office window and praying. That's how bad this got.
Oh my God. Can I just say that the paranoid Christian southern part of the south of these United States is nutty.
Oh, yeah.
They've literally gone to a wackadoo place.
Oh, yeah.
They are crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And it's delightful. I'm really enjoying it. I mean, it's lame and it's awful. And yes, people are literally being hurt by it, but it's also pretty funny.
The district says that they were simply trying to restore order. There was such a disruption that Ms. Cole could no longer operate.
Oh, dear.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
There was nothing religious about our decision, right? We didn't oppose yoga on some unfounded claim.
That's so funny. You just call it PE. You call it bending and stretching before you go out and play, dodgeball or whatever.
And don't say namaste.
Don't say, for the love of God, don't say no, even though it doesn't mean what you think it means. Don't say it.
Don't ring some bells.
Nope.
Don't
play Enya. Catholic though she may be.
Right. Don't.
Or whatever.
Don't.
Yeah. Definitely don't play any foreign music.
Oh no.
You can't do that. All right. Well, I'm going to take us to Jerusalem where, Israel is a fairly recent country. It was invented after the World War II. As a place for Jews to go and have refuge, and they had to come up with sort of rules for who they let in. And basically, the rule was anyone who's Jewish can come and live in Israel.
Okay.
Well, sometimes you got to figure out who's Jewish and who isn't.
Oh.
Sometimes there's a question of that. And that question can get really hairy.
Oh.
One of the problems is that a whole bunch of the Jews that migrated to Israel came from the former Soviet Union, which had outlawed religion. So when people came to Israel, they didn't have, the forms, and apparently there is a lot of paperwork to Judaism, apparently.
Is there really?
Which is amazing. Including things like, it's, you got to have records of your bris if you're a man, of your circumcision. There's records of, there's marital records of your parents and grandparents, that sort of thing. But yeah, if you don't have these things, which nobody coming from the USSR would have had because it was against the law, and you risked being, jailed and whatever. And maybe even killed. It can be a little tricky. So now there are all of these people who are there who are, they want to get married or whatever. And in order to get married in a Jewish ceremony, you have to prove your Judaism. And they can't.
Wow.
It becomes this big, complex bullshit problem. And they've started asking for DNA.
No.
They've started asking for DNA. The rabbinate, the rabbis in charge of this stuff have not only started asking for DNA, but so this article on RNS details the story of one Oleg Sidorov, who just wants to get married and thought it wouldn't be a problem. You know, he's Jewish. He's lived his whole life as a Jew. He's been a practicing, observant Jew, and now they wanted him to go to his grandmother and his great grandmother and like try and get blood from all of them. And he's like, well, and get a testimony from his grandmother who's got dementia, and his great grandmother's dead. And it's just like, how can I get this for you? There's nothing I can do.
The little 23andMe is not enough?
Well, I mean, even that, I don't know if it's enough. Wow. I mean, and none of this, apparently there are more than 1 million Soviet immigrants in Israel who the vast majority of whom live Jewish lives. You know what I mean? They abide by Jewish rules. They live a life that is Jewish, and almost half of them are not considered Jewish by the rabbinate.
No.
Isn't that crazy? And here's the other thing. Okay, so you're into DNA and testing and stuff. What does that do for people who converted?
Absolutely. Yeah.
People are allowed to convert to Judaism.
Right.
And it's this weird, and it's also matrilineal, so it's supposed to come through your mother and her mother, but if you don't have access to your mother, but you have access to your Jewish father, does that count as anything or not? And
oh my God,
it is a damned mess. But yeah, it's very funny because there are more reasonable voices in the country saying that this goes against the Jewish principle of hazakah, which is that rabbis don't seek to undermine someone's religious status.
Oh.
Okay. One rabbi said.
So some are arguing that it's almost enough to have been practicing, and having that history, and you came by it honestly. We may not know your whole history, but you're obviously Jewish, so you're Jewish.
If you don't have the bona fides, if you don't have the paperwork,
right?
But
so there's some saying that, and then there's there are
these people who are saying, aha. Yeah, there was one rabbi who said, the Shulchan Aruch, I'm going to guess that I nailed that, which is the code of Jewish law, says that we must trust individuals when they declare their Jewishness unless we have a major reason to question them, which seems like that would be the right road to take.
If your national policy is, boy, that's dicey though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That there's the right of return, right? Isn't that what
correct?
It's been called.
Yep.
Boy, if you establish that, then and at the exact same time you don't establish what you mean by that,
right?
And what the criteria are, I guess you have a sticky situation on your hands.
Right.
That's fascinating. So it's not just it's not enough to have a Jewish sounding last name like me.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Okay. Which is very funny. There is no civil marriage in Israel. So it's not like this guy it's not like they can just bypass this.
Wait, what? What?
No, there's no civil marriage.
What?
So if you're Jewish, you go through you have to go through this process and find a way to get through it. So
what do you do for divorce?
I don't know. Leave.
How do you separate your property? How do you?
I imagine that there are sort of standard property and divorce laws, but but everything is controlled. It's not a secular state.
I know.
It is a religious state.
Weird.
Yeah.
That's what you get, people.
See? This is what you get. Do you want ants? Because this is how you get ants.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh my God. Okay. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
Supreme Court did something by not doing something this week,
Oh,
as they are prone to do.
yeah. Half of the things they do are things that they don't do.
They declined to hear a challenge this week to a lower court ruling that had found that the owner of a Hawaii bed and breakfast
Yeah.
violated a state anti-discrimination law by turning away a lesbian couple.
Oh,
And citing Christian beliefs,
Sure.
as sort of the reason for turning them away. Phyllis Young, she runs a 3-room bed and breakfast in Honolulu, the Aloha Bed and Breakfast. She was very clever with the name there.
yeah. Wow. Nobody's ever thought to use aloha in their business name in Hawaii before.
So at this point, so she refused to rent a room to Diane Chervilli and Takeo Buford back in 2007. And now the litigation at this point will determine the penalty that Young is going to face.
So so the lesbians won,
The lesbians won in lower court,
and
the Supreme Court is like, we're fine with that.
And the inn owner appealed to the Supreme Court.
Exactly.
But the Supreme Court didn't take it.
Did not take it, letting this stand. And so one now has to go, well, what about that cake?
Right?
What? I know, I heard about this. This already happened in Colorado. What about the cake? Right?
Right.
But if you'll recall, that decision was based on the fact that the Civil Rights Commission
Right.
of Colorado, they were sort of...
They were mean to him.
They were mean. They, in essence, they were. Who knows if they were?
They weren't mean to him, but
they did not.
That was the basis for the decision.
Right. They didn't keep religion out of their decision.
Right.
Essentially, right? Or something along those lines. It was sort of religiously clouded
Yeah.
in their decision, or they didn't call upon religious liberty enough. Or I can't remember exactly.
At this
but
point,
it was a very narrow decision. It wasn't about a business owner's right to refuse service to gays and lesbians based on their Christian belief.
Right.
That was not an exemption that was granted in that decision. And that's something that, like, now we need to look at this and the Supreme. Now, apparently there's some other ones that are working their way up, and there is some question about whether the Supreme Court will listen to or take rather one of those cases on.
Yeah.
But this is something that people are really trying to get in front of the Supreme Court right now so that they can establish a religious right to deny services in their businesses,
and their hope is
open to the public,
right,
at large.
And their hope is that this court, which has been stacked with a whole bunch of incredibly conservative, incredibly Christian people,
that this is their time.
Then now is the time.
Yeah.
So them not taking a case is literally the best thing we can hope for.
Oh, absolutely.
At this moment. Keep not taking those cases, guys. That is a huge win. That is as big a win as we can hope for.
Oh, no kidding.
At this point.
No. This is great news.
Yeah.
Right? We don't want the Supreme Court wading into this at this point. It is established. This is not something that you legally can do.
Right.
Right.
Especially if you have aloha in your name. You are not practicing good aloha.
No, you are not.
If you're turning away some nice lesbian couple.
Oh, what a horrible woman.
Yeah. Well, good news is hard to come by, and so I won't give you any on this next story either, which is that a very strange occurrence recently happened, and there will be more to come about this, but I thought everyone should know that Secretary of State Mike Pompeo,
Yeah.
and I will remind you all, Mike Pompeo is very Christian.
Yes.
Mike Pompeo, our Secretary of State, believes in the rapture, believes in, he's a nutball. This is the guy who, I think he said something along the lines of, the only hope for the United States is Jesus, something like that. So, great, Mr. Secretary
That's our only
of
hope?
State.
Oh, man.
I was really hoping you'd do some stuff, but okay. Apparently he had recently He held a conference call specifically about religious freedom.
Yeah.
Now, normally when he holds a conference call, members of the press corps assigned to the State Department are invited to listen in.
Great. As they should be.
That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
He summarily did not invite the standard press corps, but did invite a bunch of members of the Christian press, or rather the faith-based media.
Oh, faith-based. Oh.
So the faith-based media. Now, no word on whether he invited, someone from
Fox News,
the Jewish Daily Herald, or
right.
the whatever Islamic Gazette is out there. I'm pretty sure they have a Gazette, don't they? Because we don't know who was invited to the call. We don't know what was said. We have nothing. Now, the FFRF, the Freedom from Religion Foundation, has written to them and said that, has done a FIFA, what is it called? A FISA?
Freedom of Information, FOIA.
Yes.
FOIA request.
They've done what am I thinking?
Freedom of Information.
Yes,
request.
Is
that what they've done?
They've done one of those, and they've written a letter to Pompeo himself, just saying, we call bullshit.
You don't want to get one of those letters.
Well,
that is not a letter you want to get.
Yeah. So yes, there hopefully there's more information to come about this.
Yeah.
But what the fuck is he doing?
That is bizarro.
What is he playing at?
Well, he's got some news about the rapture. And he wants...
Jesus called Donald.
He's like, okay, everybody. This story is embargoed until I say so, until I say it's not. But I have good information about Jesus's imminent return.
Yeah,
everyone,
it's coming.
Yes, it's true. So that's how it'll happen.
I heard from Kushner. It's got to be true. Oh, Lordy Lord. It's we're on a precipice here. We are literally dangling our toes over the edge of...
I think they're doing a really good job of bringing about in the end times.
That's
they
what
want
they're
the
going
end times.
for.
They're desperate for the end times, and I think they're doing a good job of it. You got to take your hat off and congratulate these people.
They see a goal.
Yes. They have a goal.
They pursue it.
They work out their action items. Okay, well, how are we going? Let's break this goal down, people.
They know what they're doing, and they're attacking it on multiple fronts from different angles.
Yeah,
they know what they're doing. Hopefully, they do bring about the end times, but it just means the end. Well, either A, the rapture happens, and then the rest of us are like, thank God they're all gone.
Oh, wouldn't that just be the best?
Or B,
it's one of those few there's little corners of their crazy mysticism that I just wish were true. I wish hell existed for bad Christians.
Sure.
And I really wish the rapture would just take all these people away.
Wouldn't it be great?
I don't want the rest of it to be true.
Right.
You
know what I just thought of? Because I was just thinking about the fact that, every time one of us atheists says, oh, I can't wait for the rapture to happen because then all the annoying Christians are gone, I suddenly just realized, well, fuck, then all the annoying Muslims would still be here, and there'd be all these other things.
And they'd feel empowered.
They'd all know that they were wrong. So they'd all have to just sort of let go of it, right?
Isn't that what that HBO show was all about?
I don't know. Which one?
Oh, the rapture show.
Yeah.
I never watched it. Some people liked it.
Anyway.
End days.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, here's something that hopefully will bring about the end of the world sooner.
Okay. I like how you're rooting for the end of the world.
At this point, Dan, I mean, really.
Sure.
We've had a good run.
Have we?
Yeah.
We've had a run. I don't know that we've done very well at it. Anyway, go on with what you're saying.
Humanity, come on.
Right.
A few of us can survive. Live in some caves for a while. Start over. Missouri, Dan.
Oh, great.
Their state house just passed a law that is going to ostensibly, presumably, purportedly, allow the school districts to offer a Bible class as an elective.
Oh, good. Thank goodness. You know what? I support this because I know that what they must be doing is like, they're trying to say that what they. Now you can correct me on this because I didn't read this story, but
well, neither did I. But
and faith in our
no, of course I did. Look at it; it's all marked up.
Yeah, that's true. I love that you use paper like you're a 1960s newsreader. Anyway,
what else am I going to do, Dan?
Sure. It's impossible.
I spent my computer money on a desktop so I could edit this show that we do.
Sure. Okay. Anyway, what I was going to say is, wait, what were we talking about? Oh, Bible class. Here's the thing. I'm guessing what they're saying to try and get through to thread the needle of like church-state separation is that it's just an academic class about the Bible.
Oh, no.
Oh, no?
No.
This one's a full-on indoctrination class?
This is a full-on Bible class, and it would require world literature courses to include information as well about, it's called Information on Wisdom Literature.
Oh, God.
From the Bible.
All I can say is
wisdom.
There's no better ambassador for atheism than actually reading the Bible.
I know.
So go get it, Tiger.
Yeah, but if people are taking this elective, they are going for,
They're just teaching it the way they're going to hear it in over the pulpit.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe watered down just a little bit for the school setting, but yes. Yeah. The sponsor of the bill, Ben Baker,
that sounds right,
is he's a minister, missionary, and former professor and the dean of students at Ozark Bible Institute.
Oh, great.
In Neosho, Missouri.
Yep, sounds right. All of this sounds correct.
So I guess actually it still does need to go through the state Senate. And of course the governor has to then sign it into law and all that kind of stuff. But it passed their state house.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's how this shit goes. And since we're on state, the states have been busy the last few months. Our state has been particularly cute this particular legislative session. I'm going to take us to another state, Kentucky. Excuse me, where House Bill 5 and House Bill 9 have both passed.
Wow. Okay.
They've both passed both houses.
Nice.
One of them
work, I'm sure.
One of them has already been signed by the governor. One is on its way.
Yes.
Sneakily, though, the governor signed Senate Bill 9, which, both of these are anti-abortion legislation. One of them makes it illegal to have an abortion if the reason is that it is that there's a if the baby has some sort of defect or whatever.
Okay.
For instance, if the baby has Down syndrome, it would make it illegal to have an abortion for that reason.
Okay.
Which will be interesting when they get into the how does the court read the mind of the woman who's having this abortion?
Right.
But there you go. That bill was passed and then signed into law by the governor. Now, mind you, both of these bills have what they call emergency something or other clauses in them, which means that the second they're signed, they go into effect.
Oh.
Which is unusual, and it's meant to trap women. They want to put some women in jail, and so they're trying to trap them. So the governor literally at midnight, without saying anything, signed one of the bills.
Oh boy.
Now, fortunately, the ACLU is on their game and filed an instant thing with a judge to stop this from being enforced, which worked for that bill. And now they're filing another thing with another judge to prevent the same thing from happening with this other bill, because the other bill is even worse, making it illegal to have an abortion if there's a beating heart. Now, a beating heart happens in a fetus at like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Before most women know they're pregnant.
Wow.
So they're really, really working hard at this. Of course, the ACLU is gonna fight all of these tooth and nail. But again, with our current, the whole plan here. This is all part of the sort of this most recent conservative Christian playbook, which is get the bills passed, send them to court, and then hopefully some of them will go through.
Yeah.
So that they start with the most extreme versions. This is pretty extreme. Send that up to the Supreme Court, and we'll see what happens.
Oh my God!
With this current court, who knows? We got a lot of conservative Christians on this court, so it'll be interesting. And they're far more interested in their Lord and Savior than they are in the actual Constitution and how that should be interpreted.
Well, I guess there's going to be some good old-fashioned abortion, back alley abortions.
Yeah, isn't that great? Kentucky,
which is such an awful term. It's not back alley abortions. It's
but it's illegal abortion.
Illegal abortions
and less safe.
Less safe. Yeah, sort of black market abortions, I guess.
And it's such bullshit because Kentucky already has made so many anti-abortion laws that there is only, I think, one abortion clinic left in the entire state. And now they're making it, they've passed some laws that make it so that basically abortion is illegal in the state. That will be, of course, fought tooth and nail, and we'll have to see what happens.
Saving babies so they can grow up in Kentucky. That's a great.
Yeah, exactly. They only care about them when they're still in the womb. Once they're out of the womb, if a kid needs school lunch or whatever, they can go fuck themselves.
Oh yeah.
If they're being raised in poverty or if they're being raised by someone who is emotionally cruel to them or whatever,
right.
It doesn't matter at that point. They're already out of the womb. So.
Right.
All right, well, there you go. If you have something you'd like to say about this or any other story that we've talked about, please write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave a voicemail message. We'd love to hear from you. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Indeed. Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click on that like button.
And while on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It is a closed group, but we will let you in. Dan?
Yes?
We mentioned it at the beginning of the show. There was a horrible mass shooting in New Zealand at a mosque.
And I feel like it's difficult enough to deal with these things. I feel like we could use some guidance on our thoughts about this.
When in times of tragedy, there's one voice I turn to.
I seek out the spiritual and emotional fortitude,
deep wisdom of one Mr. Brian Fisher.
Yeah, it's a well that we go to frequently.
The curmudgeon and the least like man on his street, I guarantee you.
Oh my God, yeah.
I sincerely hope he does not belong to an HOA.
Oh, you know he does. It's a gated community, and
Those poor neighbors.
He's the only one calling to complain.
Oh God, yeah. The HOA president does not like Brian Fisher, much as we don't like him, but for very different reasons.
Right? Yeah.
And so I don't even know what I need to say to set this up, except to say that it's about this horrible tragedy, and what I would like everybody to wait for is that there is a butt hanging in the air for quite a while.
Yeah.
And then it drops.
Yeah,
and so just wait for the moment.
It's the same with all these guys. If they're saying something you agree with, just hang out for a second. It'll be fine.
I hate Islam. And I hate Islam. I don't hate Muslims. I hate Islam because it is a danger to everything that's important to me. My faith, my country, my liberty, Christianity, civil rights, everything that you and I treasure is threatened by Islam. Now, what this guy did in New Zealand, that's not how you go about solving that problem. That's not what you do. This is the wrong way to go about it. But he is correct only in that Islam is something that does need to be stopped. I say we stop it by suspending Islamic immigration, as the president did. We can extend his ban. Remember, that was upheld by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said, yes, the president can suspend Islamic immigration for the sake of our security. That's something I think we need to do. And part of why you have situations like this happen, and again, I'm not making excuses for this guy. I said in my column, I think this guy needs to get a soon trial, a speedy trial, a fair trial, and then be executed publicly, and his execution should be live streamed to the world. He live streamed his attack on these legally innocent people. We ought to live stream his execution to let the world know what the West does to people who take innocent, legally innocent human life. So that's what I think ought to happen. So I'm not making excuses for this guy. I'm laying the blame squarely on him. But one of the things that happens to guys like this is if they're a little bit, they got some loose wiring to begin with, and they see that the government, their government's not doing what's necessary to protect them, whether it's from illegal aliens, whether it's from jihadis, whether it's from vengeful Muslims. If they see that their government is not doing their job to promote justice, to carry out justice, to protect national security, then they're going to start thinking, well, I can't count on the government to do it, so I'm going to have to take things into my own hands. That's where you get vigilante justice. So if government doesn't do the job, then people are going to start taking vengeance into their own hands. And unfortunately, I think we saw a case of that today in New Zealand.
You know, the thing that really stands out to me in that clip is the distinction that he makes and never explains of legally innocent people who are being murdered.
Oh, wow. I didn't even catch that.
They're legally innocent. I don't think we could say that their overarching innocence exists.
No, they're clearly not, because they're
participating in Islam, so they're definitely not innocent.
Right.
But legally, they're innocent. Like, the dog whistle air quotes that are happening there are insane.
Yeah, he seems to be someone who is he sort of knows he needs to come down on the right side of certain parts of these, and I guaranteed he's the kind of person who in private, when he heard about this happen, goes, oh boy, this isn't good for us.
Yeah.
He thought first about conservatism and Christianity.
Yep.
And the overall message of the far right now.
Yeah.
He thought about how this makes him look. And that's where you get the butt.
Yep.
He comes down, he's like, well, no, this is no good. This isn't the right way to handle this.
Right.
But I see where he's coming from.
Yeah. Dude had a point. He just
went around it the wrong way.
Yeah, maybe he had a bit of a screw loose, so it's not how you handle it. I mean, thank God he did, but that's
right. He's out there doing the Lord's work, but
we should definitely execute him in front of everybody.
Yeah, let's
make a big show of that. That's important.
That's so horrifying to
that
me.
doesn't make us seem at all like Muslim extremists if we do that.
Yeah, because that's what Saudi Arabia
right,
does.
yeah.
Right.
Or
maybe
ISIS.
not live stream it.
It's,
but
ISIS
does live stream it.
It's literally the ISIS playbook that he's drawing from on that point. We should totally do that. Haha. That'll show him how much better than the Muslim extremists we are.
But he's
a smart man. He's a very, very smart. Like if I was going to use one word to describe him, it would be smart. Okay, we had some folks write into us. I'm going to read those things.
Well done, Dan.
That's how we do.
You've made a wonderful decision.
Thank you. This is from Sean. Hi, Frank and Dan. I have a cousin who's the same age as me, and he recently got back from his Mormon mission. He's all gung-ho about preaching J. Smitty's Golden Bible, and seeing as the two of us have been best friends since we were toddlers, I've become his project.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry.
Sean,
you said?
Yeah.
Oh, Sean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this will happen. Boy, somebody gets back from their mission, and
they're just the worst.
They've spent 2 years doing nothing but door-to-door Jesus sales.
They're guaranteed to be weird. No matter what, they're guaranteed to be weird.
It takes a minute for them to come back to reality.
And then they're only sort of, if they stay in the church, they're only sort of less weird.
Yeah.
But
for a while there, they're just
God.
they're the zeal. It's too much zeal. I must proselytize. Anyway,
I was so glad to be done with my mission. That's not where I was at. I was weird.
Yeah,
I was super weird in the head, but
some of them have. Some of them have
not. Yeah, but there is that brand.
Yeah,
where it's
you're right.
I gotta find my next.
Some of them come home and they're just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to like. They got the weird thing. Some of them come back and they're like, I shall continue the mission forever.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't believe I had to stop doing the Lord's work.
Right. Right. Oh, isn't reality the worst? Anywho, Sean continues, this doesn't manifest in missionary visits or frequent church invitations. If it did, I feel like I could confront it head on. Instead, he opts to focus on being a good friend first and foremost, and if you blink, you could miss the places where he's trying to proselytize. But recently, he said something to a mutual friend that really bothered me. Something to the effect of, I know Sean would be happier in the church. I know that that's the best place for him.
Oh, they always know better for everyone.
They do.
Yep.
They do. You know what? I said something like that about a friend.
I know that I did too.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we're awful people. Since leaving religion, Sean says, I'm so much more motivated and liberated and in much better health, both physically and mentally. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
After years of religious abuse, I'm finally on the other side of it all, and it feels wonderful. But then to have a loved one say, hey, you would actually be better off if you were to regress as a person, it just irritates me so much. So my question is, how can I ever convince my loved ones that I am happy? Not fake temporary happy that is doomed to shatter when the natural consequences of sin set in, but like actually really authentically satisfied with life.
Time.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is just a matter of just live your best life, be your best you.
Let them keep seeing it.
Eventually they'll catch on.
Yeah.
Some of it may be a matter of sitting down with them and not being confrontational about it, but just saying, hey, I just want you to know where I'm coming from. And you can do that. You can, if this guy was your best friend and is a good friend, then be a good friend and just say, hey, I'm so happy this works for you. I'd like to have a talk with you about where I am, where you are, and let's just sort of get it out in the open.
Yeah.
And I want you to know that I'm glad that you're happy about where you are, and I want you to be happy about where I am.
And you could also slide a copy of the CES letter.
Don't do that. Do not do that.
Be like, I have some questions about all of, like, could you help me figure out the answers?
Years down the road, you might want to do. If you want to maintain a friendship with the guy, just, and also then, hopefully if you do it artfully, and it's not about you proselytizing to him, and it's not about you accusing him of doing anything to you.
Yeah.
You can just say, you know what? I heard what you said about me being happier in the church, and I just wanted to have a chat with you about it because it was a little irritating to me to hear that because you don't really know what my situation is, and B, I just want us to know where we're at, and I want us to stay friends, and part of that is just knowing each other well.
Right.
And let's have this conversation, and maybe we can have a few conversations about it.
Yeah.
But if you do it gently, if you do it artfully, he'll stop bugging you. Isn't that great? He'll stop those little moments where he tries to do it. We'll chill out.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know. I can't guarantee.
Depends on him.
I don't know that guy.
But
usually usually if you can find places, especially if you find places of common ground, places of where your values still line up, where he still knows, you're a good person and you believe in a lot of the same stuff.
right. And I want to throw one more thing on.
Sure, do it.
Give him a little bit of time before you actually do this, because like I said, he's in weirdo land right now.
That's true.
And he is going to have a very hard time comprehending any of what Dan just said for probably 6 months.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right.
Missionaries are trained to not be able to hear anything.
Right. These are not people who can see another person's way of life and go, you know what, that's a good way to live.
Yeah, that's true. He has been, his
way is the right way.
He was indoctrinated his whole life.
Yeah.
But that thing that he just did is like the super intense, like concentrate shit.
Be patient. be right now sort of, the normal healthy one.
Yeah.
Right? Give him a little time.
Yeah,
and when you see that he's starting to come out of it, that might be the time to have that conversation.
And he needs you right now.
Yeah.
Because he's cuckoo. So just be a stable person in his life.
Yeah.
Yeah. What it feels like he's condescending to you, and he's the one that's being no. What's happening is he's bananas right now.
Yeah.
So you can be a stable, loving figure in his life, and then later on you can have the conversation like, what was that about?
Yeah. Yeah. This rarely never changes. Right. There is the odd case where they just stay weird.
Yeah, but usually they
99% of the time they stop being weird.
When
give them a little time.
Yeah. That's good advice. Okay. Ty wrote into us. I assume that's Ty and not an abbreviation for thank you. Hey guys, after the last episode on conspiracy theories, I thought I'd write my own perspective as a former conspiracy theorist and how that related to being an atheist. This is very interesting. I've always been an atheist, but never put any real thought into the topic. But back in the early days of YouTube, a friend linked me a video listing the many similarities between Christianity and Mithraism. This led me down a rabbit hole of other religious conspiracy videos. I started identifying as an atheist, citing real and imagined crimes of the Catholic Church, the, quote, clear and obvious fact that religion was 100% created and to keep the sheeple in line, and other stuff way too boring to and complicated to go into here. Yes, aliens were mixed in there too. I was a dummy.
Well, it was a conspiracy theory. Of course there were aliens.
Yes, indeed. Well, and
were there lizard people?
And also, were the aliens the one that hated the Jews, or how did you work the anti-Semitism into it? Because it's in there somewhere. Anyway, then when I encountered Dawkins, Dennett, and Harris, I learned slowly what the word evidence actually means. What a reliable source is, and why a random YouTube video isn't as credible as a scholarly article. This is why I believed the nonsense I did, not because I felt insecure or out of control, but because I didn't know what the word proof actually means.
Wow.
Thanks for a great podcast.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You made it.
Yeah.
Congrats, Ty. You made it.
Yeah.
And there's that's the thing. Eventually, most people who believe these nutball things, somebody says something to them. They get. I've talked to and
Most?
encountered. I don't know about most.
Okay.
I've talked to and encountered plenty of people who were like, "Hoo, I used to believe some shit," and eventually they worked their way through it.
Good.
Yeah.
Well,
So. Yeah,
maybe produce some YouTube videos on that.
Yeah. I'm sure those channels exist.
I'm sure they do, but unconspiracy theorying somebody.
Yeah.
How did it fall apart for you?
I used to believe what you believed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and interviews with people who used to believe those things.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Love that stuff.
Yeah,
Anyway.
indeed. All right. Well, do we have some folks to thank?
Oh, good Lord, Dan. Yes, we do. We have 2 new patrons on Patreon this
lovely.
week.
Okay.
These good folk went to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and clicked on the support tab and then selected a level at which to support us.
Yeah.
There's also a PayPal option there if that works better for you.
It's all up to you. We're
It's-
giving you options here, people.
Yeah.
We're laying it out easy.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have one new faithful listener, Stephen.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Stephen, very much. And we have one new venerable listener,
Ooh.
Taylor.
Taylor.
So thank you to Taylor. As always, we have our top donors. These are
Our collective lords and saviors.
yeah, they're not maxed out. I almost said they were maxed out.
No.
But they somehow
no
found
maximum.
found their way into a 7-way tie
Yeah.
for top donor. And these kind folk are Jash,
Yeah.
Scott, Melissa, Dee, Hannah, Liz, and Judy. So thank you to all of you.
Blessed be ye.
And thanks to all of our patrons and all of our supporters on PayPal.
Yeah.
We really couldn't do the show without you. And we would, ask and encourage anybody else who's out there who likes the show, wants to see it keep going, to join up. And then you get your name mentioned on the show. And whatever other reward we
we
might
got
be
a bunch
giving
of
out.
rewards. So yes, please do that if you can afford it. It's so helpful to us, and bless you all.
Thanks, guys. Dan.
Okay, here we go. I'm prepped and ready.
So everybody's seen the news.
Yeah,
I don't think we need to rehash exactly what happened.
Well, what we need to say, I mean, there are people who might be listening to this down the road a pace. So this is the news that we're referring to is the mass shooting at mosques in New Zealand.
Yes.
What, 49 people killed, something along
those lines. Most of them all happened at the first mosque.
Yeah.
And then at the second mosque, some very brave soul stood up and distracted the shooter and got him essentially out of the mosque.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable story. And New Zealand is responding to this situation with some new gun controls, gun control laws. Their prime minister has proven herself to be unbelievable.
She's been
unbelievable leader, an
great.
unbelievable person,
taking concrete, powerful steps.
Yeah, and they've made some, I think, really smart moves. Like they're not saying his name.
They're not showing his face.
They're not showing his face. And I think that's a really smart move. Not a lot of places have made that
keep
move.
them from getting famous. Keep them from, because a lot of these are like attempts at fame and glory.
Yeah.
From within the white power, white supremacist movement. All that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're going to be talking about.
No.
What we wanted to talk about was the fact that this is so what Brian Fisher, when earlier we played him talking about, oh well, he probably shouldn't have murdered all these people, but Islam is the problem,
Right.
and he was very clear to say, I don't hate Muslims, I hate Islam, which is bullshit. He hates Muslims, obviously.
Yeah.
When you support a ban on a religion being able to come into your country, of people who believe in a religion, Brian Fisher, that believes 99% of the same shit that you believe.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, Brian Fisher would be on board with Sharia law if you called it Jesus law. It's all the same shit.
Right.
He would love it.
Yeah.
As long as it's Jesus instead of whoever Sharia is. My Sharia.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you.
I think the point here is that we as humans are so prone to this tribalism, this if you're not with us, you're against us. If you're not in the in my in-group, then you're my enemy.
Yeah.
And they're into not seeing the humanity of the other people.
Yeah.
And I think that's the real disturbing thing for me.
Yeah.
Is when anybody is able to discount the humanity of a group of people because they're not in my group.
Right.
And I think that's kind of where we're at. Everybody does it. It is such a human thing to do.
No, I remember, and Mormonism is insular, right?
Oh yeah.
And it definitely, you hear from the youngest age that it has a monopoly on what is right and righteous and
truthful
and how and a monopoly on how to live a good life.
Yeah.
And a monopoly on what it means to be a good family and all of these things. And the only way that you're ever going to get any of this good shit, is by leading a good and faithful Mormon life. Right.
It's the only pathway to happiness, as our emailer points out to us.
Yeah.
And it's the only way to truth.
And I remember at a certain point in my childhood being at a non-Mormon friend's house and having the thought of, wait a second, like they seem like a really good family.
Right.
Things seem pretty good in this house. Right.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
Because I was told you have to be Mormon to be this good.
Correct.
Right. And it took a lot of time. I was probably in my 20s before. And I mean, I served my mission with these kind of, not like full on complete dehumanizing thoughts of people who weren't Mormon.
Right.
But of definitely thinking things that were shitty things to think about people who were coming from a different tradition.
Right.
Right. That somehow, how could they possibly be as good? How could they possibly be on the same level as us?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And
they drink coffee, for God's sake.
And you hear it in what Brian Fisher was saying.
Yeah.
Like loud and clear. But it's not that hard to hear from all groups.
Our group also.
Groups.
All groups do this, and we need to guard against it with everything that we have.
Yeah.
It's something that you hear, living in Salt Lake City, in the sort of belly of the Mormon beast.
Yeah.
In atheist groups, on Facebook or whatever, here in Utah.
Yeah.
You hear people just, the Mormons are the fucking worst and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, look, I get it. We just had our legislative session and boy, when those fuckers get going, they can, they could pull some shenanigans.
Yeah.
And it's all guided. The church has their hand in every pie.
Oh yeah.
So yes, it's frustrating. But when you say the Mormons are infuriating or the Mormons are X, guess what you're doing? It's the same thing. You're participating in this dehumanizing of another group.
Right. Yeah.
When we say Christian, I made fun of Southern Christians earlier in the show.
Right.
The fact of the matter is that there are plenty of really good people who are Southern Christians.
Right.
And there may even be people who have some hateful views about certain people.
Right.
But the way to counter their hateful views is not to mimic them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if they have white supremacist views or anti-LGBT views or whatever, the way to counter that is not to be like, okay, well then you're my enemy now.
Yeah. That's a tough place, Dave.
It is a tough one. It's so hard.
Because right now, the discourse in not just this country, seemingly in the world, is us versus them.
Right.
Right. And I was listening to a thing on the radio the other day on a totally different topic, but the guy who was being interviewed was talking about how back in the day, he was coming from kind of a Republican conservative perspective. And he was like, really like the kind of conservatism that I really like was that I ascribe to is more that Eisenhower type. And he's like, I even liked Ronald Reagan. I had respect for Ronald Reagan. I didn't agree with everything, but he would sit down with was it Tip O'Neill? He'd sit down with Tip O'Neill. He was the Democratic Speaker of the House at the time. And they would sit down and they would have conversation and they would come to some compromise.
Right.
Right.
Or at least an understanding.
But government used to, in this country, be willing to make compromise. And they would work together.
Right.
And now that's just absolutely not the case.
No.
Because we are, and it's cliche to say at this point, but there's the two Americas.
Yeah.
And it's so, how do we get back to a place where we can sit down and we can talk? Because at this point, Dan, what you're saying, I agree with, but I know that there are people out there who are like, you can't talk to these people.
Right. And there are people on the other side saying the same thing about us.
Yeah, exactly.
And so to my mind, the problem is that the polarization leads to more polarization, leads to more enemy making, leads to more dehumanizing.
Right. But we're pointing out a big problem. How do you actually have that conversation?
Well, I mean,
is it that more and more of us have to just be willing?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of it. I think part of this is look, all I'm really advocating for right now, just realize that there's a human over there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just at least start with, that's a person.
Yeah.
That's not an enemy. That's not someone in another camp.
Right.
It's a person. Start there. You can at least start there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The ideas are bad, and the ideas are what are the big problem.
Mm-hmm.
But ideas, but like the person who has those ideas is still a person. And at the very least, we can start with that.
And so there's hope for redemption.
There's hope for a lot of things. Yeah. There's hope for understanding. There's hope for compromise. There's hope for, no, we're not advocating compromise in the sense of like, yes, your rights are not something that should ever be compromised.
No.
Well, that's not what we're advocating for. But we've got to start somewhere.
Right.
There's got, hope for dialogue. Even when you don't agree, even when you walk away from a dialogue, having still huge disagreements, at very least, acknowledging our own humanity and the humanity of others is a starting point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like the enemy, the making of an us against them, an in-group versus out-group thing is killing us. And that, that is what led to the killing of people in
absolutely
in New Zealand. But then not recognizing that humanity will lead, if all we have to say is, aha, see, look what they're doing, then we're going to lead to more animosity, to more hatred, to more killing.
Well, I mean, I saw in prep for this show today, I ran across an article on CBN News, which is the Christian Broadcasting Network.
Yeah.
This is Pat Robertson's thing, right?
Right.
And there was an article up on it that I was willing to follow a few links and see exactly where it was coming from. And it went back to a Guardian article that was talking about, this incident in Africa somewhere. And the Guardian headline was about certain tribal members who attacked and killed some people in a village.
Sure.
Right. The CBN headline was Muslims kill Christians in African village.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't play the clip, but Coach Dave had his whole take on the thing that happened in New Zealand was, well, you know what? They kill us all the time.
Yeah.
So don't even pay it any attention. Don't even worry about it.
Right.
Fair turnabout's fair play was basically his.
So fucking scary and such dangerous rhetoric.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the problem with religion is that they've got an end times war in their mind.
Well,
they've got like a righteous battle brewing in their minds. That's what they're looking toward. That's supposed to happen.
Right. Well, and the problem with religion is, of course, that they are right.
Yeah.
They are 100% right.
Yeah.
And that's hard to sit down and have a conversation with. I think it's doable. I think what you're pitching is doable. If they're willing to sit down, I think, and have a dialogue, a real dialogue, then maybe there's some hope for that person.
But at very least, no matter what, we cannot let go of the humanity of other people. All other people, we have to hold on to that. There's something of value just in that.
Yeah.
I don't know. There you go. Let's open it up to people. If you guys want to talk to us about this, if you have something you want to say, please feel free to write into us. podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Indeed. Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click the like button.
And while on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It is a closed group, but we will let you in. There's also on Reddit and Twitter, look for the handle TGI Atheist.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of our social media, thanks so much to Mackenzie for all of her hard work on the Facebook page. Thanks also to Amy and Danny for being moderators in the Members Only Lounge.
And a big thanks goes out to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music, and also to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thank all of you for listening. We sure do appreciate you.
Bye-bye.